do I do the very bottom? Okay. Does anybody else need one? Does everybody have a tambourine?
Heidi's not here, I don't want to make her come, so I just asked some names. Thank you so much.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
It's so great to see everybody here today. Our first Shabbat service of the month of February. It is so wonderful to be together, to welcome new faces, welcome for the first time, and welcome back to anyone who's been here before. We are going to start our service on page 128 of your Blue Siddur, your Mishkan Tefillah, and also for anyone following on live stream, hello, and hopefully maybe you have a Mishkan Tefillah. We will start with Hine Ma Tov because it's so wonderful to be together. This section of our service is actually called Kabbalat Panim, or welcoming of faces. After a long week, it can be very rejuvenating to see so many of your faces. We celebrate that, and I invite our Shabbat singers again this month to come up and help lead us in Hine Ma Tov, Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad.
How sweet it is,
How sweet it is
to be together on this day. How good it is,
How good it is,
how sweet it is,
how sweet it is
to be together.
on this day. Hine ma tov, u'ma I would now love to invite up to kindle our Shabbat lights Hillary Bloom and Andy Sperling. You can find the bracha on page 120 of your Siddur. Amen.
Amen.
I invite our Shabbat singers right back up, getting your steps in, to sing a special version of the bracha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Thank you, Shabbat singers. We continue on pages 138 and 139 of our Siddurim, our prayer books. We have Lecha Dodi, a poem from the mystics of Tzafed. Shlomo Halevi Alkabetz actually wrote this poem as an acrostic poem of his name. And we welcome Shabbat as we would welcome a bride. On that day of the wedding, we have that anticipation, that joy, that moment of exhale when the bride finally does arrive in our midst. And we will do stanzas 1, 2, 5, and 9. And I welcome you, if willing and able, to rise and face the entrance for that final stanza, officially welcoming in our Shabbat bride. Lecha Dodi. Ya la 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 lecha dodi, ya la 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 likrat hala, ya la 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 panei Shabbat, panei Shabbat lekabela, shamor v'zechor b'dibor echad. Adonai echad, u'shemo echad, l'shemo tiferet v'litchila. Ya elai lai, ya la 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 lecha dodi, ya la 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 likrat hala. Shabbat, Pnei Shabbat ekabela, likrat Shabbat, lechu v'nelcha, ki mekor habaracha. Merosh miketz tefillah. Yai lai lai, ya la 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 lai lekadodi. Ya la 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 lai lekrat kala. Ya la 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 lai pnei Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat ekabela. Hitoreri, kiva orech kumiori, uri, shir daberim, kevod Adonai, alayk nigla. Yai lai lai, ya la 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 lai lekadodi. Ya la 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 lai lekrat kala. Ya la 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 lai pnei Shabbat. Pnei Shabbat in kavela. Boi vishalom, ateret bala, gam b'simcha ubetzohara, toch emunei, am segulna. We continue now that the Sabbath bride or queen is amongst all of us on page 144 of your Siddur, where we have a bridge, a connection with the Chatzi Kaddish or half Kaddish. We remember that even during times of transition, times of change, during times when we are crossing bridges, we still remember to be holy and to exalt God. Yitkada veyitkada shemei Rabbah b'yamad yivarach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon uvyomechon uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael bagala uvizman kariv v'immeru amen Yehi shmei Rabbah mivorach le'olam ulal me'almaya yitbarach ve'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitale v'yithala shemei dekudasha brichu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran biyama v'immeru amen. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even at unlikely times and through unlikely places. There is no place on earth without the presence, perhaps indicating why one of the names of God is Hamakom, the place. We continue as we rise, if willing and able, on page 146. We ask first, if you have your handout that was handed to you, are we awake? Are we prepared? We now prepare ourselves for prayer with the Baruch Hu. Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. Baruch Hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam va'ed, le'olam va'ed. Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la. I invite our Shabbat singers to come back up as we turn together to page 152 and 153. We remind ourselves of our oneness, that we are all echad. We come here together into this sanctuary, perhaps from disparate places throughout the week, but we know right now, right here, we are all one. Shema.
Okay.
Shema
We're singing this?
Yisrael
Adonai
Eloheinu
Adonai
Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod
Malchuto Le'olam va'ed.
You may kindly be seated. We continue on page 154, where we are also reminded that we are not only one, but that we can love Adonai, our God, all of the time, through all of our experiences, when we lie down, when we get up, when we are gone, when we are at home. V'yahavta. V'yahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha v'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lektecha v'derech u'v'shochmecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotefot b'neinecha וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתיכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. I am Adonai your God. I am Adonai your true God. We continue responsively on page 157, the second reading. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea. We sing and continue that paragraph with our singing of Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai, who is like you, O God, among all the gods that are worshipped. Rabbis often talk of freedom from Egypt. We leave Egypt, or Mitzrayim. We leave the narrowness. But does Egypt always leave us? Are there narrow parts of ourselves that we still need to let go of? Mi Chamocha can help us get there. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh. Nora tehilot osef eleh, Nora בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ויאמרו, זה אלינו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך לאלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא עושה, נורא ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל Yisrael. Praised are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. We continue together on page 160. We ask God to let us lie down in peace tonight and hopefully wake up in the morning and say, Modeh ani lefanecha, and give thanks for waking up. But as we live in the moment, we ask God to let us lie down. We call God Shomreinu, or our guardian, our keeper. We keep and guard Shabbat just as God guards, keeps all of us. Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim. Page 163. Let us share the second reading on page 163 together. A thought has blown the marketplace away. There is a song on the wind and joy in the trees. The Sabbath arrives in the world, scattering a song in the silence of the night. Eternity utters a day. Eternity utters a day on Shabbat as we utter a song to celebrate Shabbat, to celebrate that covenant between God and the people of Israel. I invite our Shabbat singers, so aptly named, to lead us in V'shamru on page 162. ושמרו בני ישראל Yisrael, Bnei Yisrael, Oti leolam. Veshamru Bnei Yisrael et HaShabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ינוח, שבת ינוח, Thank you, Shabbat singers. We will continue on pages 164 and following. I ask you to kindly rise, if willing and able, for tefillah. Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu ve'imotenu. Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah. Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, v'Konei Hakol. וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמנת לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש. You are holy, your name is holy, and those who are holy praise you every day. Baruch atah Adonai ha'el hakadosh. You may kindly be seated. We continue our service on page 178 of your prayer book, where we have our Birkat Shalom, our prayer for peace. We ask God to grant us peace in every season and in every moment. We look on the opposite page. Lo yisa goy al goy cherev v'lo yomadu od milchama. Nation shall not take up sword against nation. They shall never again know war. Ken yehi ratzon. May it be so. May we pray for such as we sing together, Shalom Rav. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lecho hashalom. Ki atahu melech adon lecho hashalom. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov enecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. As we turn to page 180, let us reflect silently for just a moment. We enter that Mikdash Ma'at, that sanctuary that lives within us, miniature sanctuary inside of our sanctuary. As we look inward, we find pause, we find rest and reflection. We let perhaps the anxieties and stressors of our busy lives and our week drop away from our shoulders that carry so much. We just take a moment of respite, and then we will continue with Oseh Shalom. Yaseh shalom bimroma. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. We continue in our prayer books all the way on page 371 as we turn our collective attention toward those in need of our healing, our prayers, our energy, our intention. We pray for all of those who are ill, for all of those who are struggling. We often talk about how there are so many different ways for us to struggle, be it of the body, of the mind, of the soul. We are all so multidimensional and perhaps so interconnected that when one of us is not well, all of us perhaps are a bit unwell. Motivation towards Tikkun Olam, repairing the world. But we do pray for the health and well-being of Jeffrey Stern, Nancy Cochran, Irma Cervantes Castillo, Austin Wasilewski, Norman Kaplan, Marilyn Leitz, Cheryl Dressner-Bressman, Clyde Hudgens, Dave Lamson, Susan Ritter, Rachel Rivka Bat-Zelda, Guillaume Pigny, Mary Jo Ray, Daniel Lewis, James Rooney, Ira Berezowski, Liz Randall, Jen Sadens, Maureen Wise, Ian Kamen, Nancy Blake, Lindsay Hartman, Lucas Hartman, Dominic Carlucci, Susan Sadens, Leah Henry, Danielle Stile. We also pray for healing for the servicemen, women, and people who have been wounded or injured on behalf of our country, and in Medinat Yisrael, the state of Israel, who have been wounded as well. I'd like to open it up to those of you on live stream to include the names of any you may so wish to at this time. And in our own sanctuary, beginning over here, and I will move this direction, please include names for healing that you would wish to now.
Dr. Raymond Cates, Jason Katz, Jeffrey Willis, Nicole Haddad, Chris J.
We wish them a refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf, refuah shalema, a complete healing of the mind, a healing of the body, and a refuah shalema, a complete and total, all-encompassing healing that covers every aspect and every dimension of those in need. We continue to direct our prayers in this beautiful direction of healing with the singing of the Mishaberach on page 371. Misheberach Avotenu Mikor habracha Ve'imotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu mikor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Elna Rafana La, Elna Rafana Lo. God, please heal them for a complete healing. It's just too much to handle. I have to check out. I find that most people are irritating me. I'm really exhausted from it all. I can't do that. I'm done. Do we ever think these, or maybe even say some of these things? As many of us here in this sanctuary seek the peace and the quietude of Shabbat, we often reflect on, and are prompted to reflect on, and try to cast off some of that harshness of the week. How many of us spend our days wearing multiple hats, spinning a variety of plates, running back and forth, literally or mentally or spiritually, perhaps between activities, games, practices, chores in general, picking up kids, grandkids, going to appointments? When we are not taking care of someone, we are likely working perhaps at our respective day jobs or have lots of hobbies. Many work in human services industries where people are often pressured to serve others even at the expense of their own physical and mental health. Some of us, perhaps, are just natural empaths. Perhaps you always get that phone call when someone is struggling or in need of advice. You know when you pick it up, this is going to be a long one. No matter what we do day to day, it tends to be fast-paced and it can be taxing. To put it simply, our society, especially since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, has been in the midst of a lot of burnout. Our own Mishkan Tefillah tells us, when we talk about our earthly responsibilities, to let these drop away at the door. Easier sometimes said than done. So what is burnout? According to the World Health Organization, it is a syndrome resulting from stress that has not been successfully managed. It's characterized by 3 dimensions: feelings of energy depletion or exhaustion, increased mental distance from one's responsibilities, perhaps, and feelings of negative or cynical nature. As it turns out, our great prophet, Moshe Rabbeinu, Moses, our teacher, was also at risk. He was not he was not a different kind of person, perhaps, than all of us were. He became close to burnout. Luckily, he had an advocate who noticed this potential problem and took action. This week, the Torah portion is called Yitro, or Jethro, father of Moses' wife Zipporah, Midianite priest, and the father-in-law of Moses. This particular parsha is quite famous for its description of God's giving of the 10 Commandments. But it's interesting to think that a parsha with something so significant is named after Moses' father-in-law. A person, and not just a person, but also a non-Jewish person. Why? Perhaps Jethro is such an important figure in the life of Moses. And according to our Midrash, it is possible that Jethro had been keeping an eye on Moses long before this incident, perhaps since he was a child. According to the Midrash, when Moses was a child growing up in Egypt, he would take Pharaoh's crown, like one does, and put it on his own head playfully. Pharaoh's advisors, they were not particularly fond of this practice and warned the Pharaoh. They said, "Pharaoh, whoever puts the crown on their head will eventually steal the kingdom of Egypt." While many suggested that Moses be burned immediately, sort of a rash decision, Jethro was there. Jethro, he was an advisor to Pharaoh at the time. He reiterated the fact that Moses was just a child, had no understanding of what he was doing. This perspective eventually saved a young Moses from likely death. Seems that Jethro was getting his start as a mental wellness advocate and understood human development on a different level than his powerful contemporaries. So again, in this week's Parsha, Jethro displays why he just might be the exemplar of the perfect father-in-law. He brings Moses' wife and children into the desert to meet Moses. He is told of God's role in the people of Israel's escape from Egypt, and he decides not only to believe all that Moses tells him, but to embrace the God of Israel. Later in this parsha, this is when Jethro's piqued interest comes into play. He sees Moses at work. What is Moses doing? Acting as a judge and a legislator, sitting alone, doing all of this judging and all of this legislating from morning until night, no lunch break, nothing like that. It is no exaggeration to say that Jethro is troubled by what he sees. Jethro states his concern for Moses. He is worried that Moses is going to burn himself out. Moses is running himself ragged. The following words from Exodus could probably be spoken to many of us today and not need much unpacking or modernizing or interpreting. And Moses' father-in-law said unto him, "The thing that you do is not good. You will surely wear away, both you and this people that is with you, for the thing is too heavy for you. You are not able to perform it yourself alone." Our commentator Rashi says that the weight of the deed is too heavy for even the strength of Moses, that he will eventually wither as a leaf might wither. Haven't we all felt at some point that the weight of our responsibilities was a bit much to bear? I have often spoken of the emotional and physical toll called allostatic load, or the impacts of chronic stress on all of the systems of our body and our mind. I like to use the analogy of a backpack being filled and filled until it finally pulls down the wearer due to its sheer weight. It sounds like Jethro was understanding of this risk in a manner that was far ahead of his time. So how can we apply Jethro's advice to ourselves as people living in the modern world? Are many of us carrying multiple burdens that are simply too much? We surely cannot be everything to everyone all of the time and remain physically, psychologically, spiritually well ourselves. Jethro tells Moses to do something that many of us have trouble doing. Delegate. We do not always have to go at it alone. According to Rashi again, Jethro tells Moses, use that prophetic insight that you have and find some suitable help. Moses acts on this suggestion. He is humble. One of the great things about Moses is that he took advice. When we dole out tasks to others, ask for help when we need it, and listen to the advice of those who have our welfare, our best interest at heart, we can avoid burning out. So, may we all be blessed to listen to the Jethros of our own lives and avoid taking on too much at a time. Only if we are upright can we strive to this week's aspiration of becoming a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. The people of Israel do say in this parsha, all that God has spoken, we shall do. The key word, we. Shabbat shalom. I invite you now to listen to some announcements, is what I invite you to do, as I invite Andrea Barbakoff up to update us on the goings-on here at Temple Isaiah.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Thank you for coming tonight so we can pray together as a community. It is wonderful to see everybody here this evening. Thank you to Rabbi Josh, Megan, and of course Dan for our wonderful service and lovely music. Tonight's Oneg is sponsored by the Price family in memory of Gideon ben Sila. Our next service is being held on Friday, February 9th at 7:30 p.m. If you'd like to share news at a service, please fill out the Shabbat Simcha forms that can be found in the lobby. Commemorate a special event or host an Oneg, or if you'd like to host an Oneg, please contact the office. Save the dates for the following events. Torah study with Rabbi Josh on Zoom at 9:30 a.m. Everybody is invited. That's tomorrow morning. Spots still available for Rabbi Josh's Intro to Judaism classes on Wednesday, February 7th at 6 p.m. Tomorrow evening at 6 p.m., the PA is sponsoring bingo. And if you have any questions, please see Ellen Cavino. Sisterhood Zoom Schmooze will be on Tuesday, February 13th at 7:30 p.m. And all women from Temple Isaiah are invited to join on. Please put the rhythm instruments in the basket at the back of this sanctuary on your way into the social hall for pizza and ice cream. Stay safe, be well. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom. Thank you, Andrea. And yes, thank you to Megan, and thank you to Dan Fogel for the beautiful music. And thank you to our Shabbat singers, always so enthusiastic, full of ruach, spirit, and breath. We continue our service on page 586 as I invite you to rise, as I welcome the Pugh family up to open and close our ark for the Aleinu.
Tev gedula liotze breshi shelo asanu gegoye haratso velo samanu kemishpecho hadama shelo sam kelkenu chahem vegor aleinu kekol hamonam אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי הנקים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
You may kindly be seated. We turn to page 594 in our prayer books for the prayer that precedes the mourner's Kaddish. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love, hope, dream, to be and oh, to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. We remember the yahrzeits of Denise Abelson, Robert Cooper, stepfather of Nancy Goroff, Bernard Frisch, grandfather of Andrea Barbakoff, John Milton Hiller, Irving Howard, father of Bruce Howard, Robert Katz, brother of Arnold Katz, Rose Kellerman, Maxine Metzger, aunt of Randall James, Alvin L. Newman, father of Lloyd Newman, Murray Pollock, Jean Rosenbaum Brunner, mother of Barbara Zaret, Herbert Silberman, Theodore Siskind, father of Marion Leibowitz, Samuel Sohn, Ira Turkowitz, Don Tilutki, cousin of Paula Balaban, Minnie Wexler. We also observe the Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning for Ruth Sender, Holocaust survivor, author, speaker. We also take this time to remember the spirits of the 6 million Jewish men, women, children, and people who perished during the Holocaust, and the thousands of lives lost to the brutal attacks and subsequent war in Israel. I now would like to take this time to welcome any of you on live stream, to include any names for remembrance, and in our own sanctuary. If there are names you would like to add, please do so at this time. We will move in this direction. Say Adonai Natan va'Adonai Lachachi. He Shem Adonai Mevarach. God gives and God takes away. Blessed be the name of God. I invite you to kindly rise, if willing and able, as we turn to page 598, where we will share in the recitation of the Mourner's Kaddish. We join together in saying, Yit Gadol ve'Yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, B'Alma Divarach Hirutei V'Yamlich Malchutei, B'Chayechon U'V'Yomechon U'V'Chayei Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala U'Vizman Kari V'Imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mivorach Leolam U'Lalmei Almaya, Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitpa'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh ve'yithadar ve'yitaleh ve'yithalal Shemei dekudesha brichu La'ela min kol birchata ve'shirata tushvechata ve'nechemata da'amiran bi'alma ve'imru Amen. Yehei shalama rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May parts of them that lit up our lives become parts of us that will light up the lives of others. As we say, Zeker Tzadik Livracha, may their righteous memories forever be for blessing. You may be seated at this time if you wish. We will conclude on page 645. And I do invite the Shabbat singers up here also. We think of a day that we spoke of earlier, Lo yisa goy el goy cherev v'lo yilmadu od milchama, when the nation shall be at peace, when nation shall not take up sword against nation, when they shall never again learn war. We think of that day as we sing together Lo yisa goy at the bottom of page 645. Lo yisa goy el goy chereb, lo yilmadu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy chereb, lo yilmadu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy chereb, lo yilmadu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy chereb, lo yilmadu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy chereb, lo yilmadu od milchama. Lo yisa goy el goy chereb, lo yilmadu od milchama. An old Hasidic proverb teaches us we pursue happiness, and while we pursue happiness, we sometimes flee from contentment. May we all take a moment of pause from the chase and reflect on this holy Shabbat and the blessings that we do have and the blessings that surround us, as all of you are indeed a blessing. Please join us for Kiddush and Motzi in the social hall as we say Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat